Money's purpose is to circulate, to go places, to actually make an economy move. And when looking for coins to add to this video, this made me realize the idea of movement is very often depicted on ancient coins. From boats, horseback, chariots, to some more outlandish means of transportation. Ancient coins tended to depict very dynamic scenes, so today, let's have a look at the curious vehicles and means of transportation that were depicted on ancient coins. Let's go! Interestingly, some things never change. Although we're used to our new and modern means of transportation like airplanes and high-speed trains, ships are still responsible for over 70% of the world's trade volume. Back on ancient times, even inland regions depended heavily on waterways to conduct commerce and fast transportation. Particularly for the Greeks and Romans, the Mediterranean Sea was the main highway for transportation between coastal regions, so it would be only fair to start this video by showing a boat. We kick things off at the late Roman Empire. The reign of Constantius II, son of Constantine the Great, was marked by internal political struggle and the dissolution of the peace so hardly fought for by his father. This coin, struck around 348 and 350 AD, seeks to aggrandize the man, showing everyone that he still had the situation under control. On the obverse, we can see this quite stylized bust of Constantius, with the legends Dominus Noster, Constantius, Pius Felix, Augustus. But things get really interesting when we get to the reverse. This is a typical example of late Roman imperial imagery. The imperial cult, since the times of Augustus, always gave the emperor a somewhat divine image. But for most of Roman imperial history, the emperor was a special man, but just a man nonetheless. The late Roman Empire just throws this idea out of the window, depicting the emperor as practically a god on earth. So we see the emperor on top of a galley, with a winged figure, probably a Victory, steering the ship. He also holds a smaller Victory in his hand and labarum, a military standard. The legends, Felix Temporum Reparatio, the restoration of happy times, tries to pass a message that the emperor was here to project his power and guarantee that both the land, with his military presence, was safe, and also the sea was once again safe to conduct trade on. But people live on land, so it's reasonable to guess that most coins in this theme are going to feature some kind of land transportation, and no other means of getting around was as appealing as by horse. Many examples feature 1, 2, and even multiple horses. So let's have a look. Let's go to ancient Greece first. We take a look at some pocket change for now. This tiny bronze coin, struck at Kranon on mainland Greece between 350 and 300 BC, holds so much information on such a small coin I had to show you all this piece. On the obverse, we see this nice little horseman wearing a chlamys, a typical cloak used by the Greeks, and a Pegasus, a hat with a very broad rim used to protect someone from the heat of the Greek sun. The region had very vast plains and was famous for its horse breeding, so it's really interesting how a humble little coin like this one gives us a testament on what the people of the region specialized in commercially, as well as some of the clothing they used. The reverse also tells us about the city and its traditions, which actually involve a vehicle. The region suffered from occasional but very severe droughts. That would put in danger the aforementioned horse breeding enterprise. They need a lot of water. The local temple had a cart in which a sacred jar full of water would be put on. If rain was scarce, the cart would be paraded around the city with prayers and chants to Apollo being made. If a crow landed on the cart, it was a sign that Apollo would grant them rainfall. So if a single horse is a common sight on coins, the Romans had to double down and put 2 of them. Republican denarii such as this very common one depict a Biga, a chariot pulled by 2 horses. This example, struck at 89 BC, is among some of the most common types. This coin was struck under a mint official that descended from the old tribe of the Sabines, Licius Titurius Sabinus, a group of Italic peoples that have long been absorbed by the Romans, and the official wanted to pay a small homage to his native family, featuring on the obverse King Tatius, the last of the Sabine kings. And on the reverse, we are greeted once again by the Biga, a chariot pulled by 2 horses. Driving the vehicle, we have no other than Victory herself, holding a laurel crown, and some legends indicating the surname of the mint official. Interestingly, the lower part of the coin has a control mark that reminds us of the boats we previously discussed. We see an anchor and a little dolphin around it. So if a Biga was interesting already, how about a Quadriga? We're once again making a crazy jump in time, going to the late Roman Empire again, between the years 276 and 282, to one of my personal favorite emperors numismatically, Probus, and his very diverse coinage types, which revived coin art that was going through a very dull period in earlier decades. So in the obverse of this Antoninianus, we can see a bust of Emperor Probus in typical imperial fashion and wearing a radiate crown. The legends around his bust read, Imperator Caesar Marcus Aurelius Probus Pius Augustus. But it is the reverse that actually gives character to this coin. Not only we have a Quadriga, a 4-horse chariot ridden by Sol Invicto, the sun god, but the mint engraver decided to make a really fun work of perspective. We can see the chariot going towards us, the observer. In fact, it is so close to us to the point that the point of view, it's actually between the horses, pretty much the same view you would have like less than a millisecond before being run over by the chariot. The design is so expensive that the legends needed to be squeezed around the flank. The engraver really got excited with this one. So we can see Sol Invicto, the unconquered sun. So next, we're entering a bit into the fantasy world. The myth of the Pegasus, the winged horse of Zeus, dates all the way back to the Bronze Age. That's a very curious coin. This is a Celtic copy, attributed loosely to the Celtic tribes of Eastern Europe. This is a remarkably heavy and well-made copy of a denarius struck at 75 BC by Monarch Quintus Titius. The people beyond the Roman frontier didn't only fight the Romans. There was a fair bit of commerce going on, so it was just normal that they would make imitations of the Roman coinage that would at least have some level of acceptance by the Romans. On the obverse, we can see this very weakly struck portrait of the god Bacchus, the Roman interpretation of Dionysus, the god of wine, partying, and madness. We can distinguish him by the 3 little grapes on his hair and some poorly engraved grape leaves. And on the reverse, we see the Pegasus in this very gracious movement of taking off. And interestingly, the legends imitate the Monarch's name and correctly spell it, Q-T-I-T-I. Well, that's an easy one to replicate, but maybe this could indicate that the die engraver was actually literate, something quite rare for the time. And we continue the mythical theme with Septimus Severus. Severus was native from Leptis Magna on northern Africa, old Carthaginian territory, and some of the old Punic deities, adapted to Roman versions, made their way into Septimius coinage, making for some very unique and exotic designs, like this denarius, struck at Rome at 204 AD. The obverse is a very typical imperial design. We see Septimius' classical bust, with his curly hair and very impressive beard, and some very simple legends, Severus Pius Augustus. The reverse is where things get really crazy. We have Dea Celestis, the goddess of the skies, the Roman interpretation of the very old Carthaginian goddess of fertility, Tanit, riding a lion, holding a scepter and a thunderbolt, so basically being given Zeus-like attributes on this fantastic display of religious syncretism and adaptation. The legends, Indulgentia Augustorum, and the lower part, Indulgentia Carthaginensis, refer to a visit of Septimius to the city of Carthage, where he bestowed a series of favors to the city, like the renovation of the main aqueduct, hence the flowing water just under the goddess. And finally, we leave the fantastic realm of deities and magic animals to a more mundane but still very impressive animal. An elephant was always associated to the exotic and the different, but also used as a weapon by certain ancient armies, using its heavy weight and momentum to charge and disrupt enemy formations. So this denarius, struck by Philip I, also known as Philip the Arab, between 247 and 249 AD, was not minted in Rome actually. Instead, it was minted at another imperial mint located in Antioch. The Roman East was always extremely monetized, and the need of vast numbers of coins led to an imperial official mint being implemented. So on the obverse, we see the typical bust of Philip with the legends Imperator Marcus Iulius Philippus Augustus. The reverse was probably minted as part of the propaganda campaign moved by Philip after the massive games he threw all over the empire to celebrate Rome's 1000th anniversary. We see an elephant, a very popular attraction of the games, with its rider on top. The legends ask for the following 1000 years of Rome, Eternitas Augustorum, the eternity of our emperors. Surprisingly enough, these are not all the kinds of means of transportation, magical or real, that were depicted on ancient coins. This is what is fascinating about collecting ancients. The kind of collection you want to assemble is entirely up to you. There's not really a typical typeset you need to make. What you like and your imagination are what leads the game. A collection like this one may sound too specific, but could give rise to a marvelous group of dozens of coins. So if you like any of these coins, and maybe you would like to add some of them to your collection, well, you're in luck, because our sponsors at Savoca Coins will be organizing their 102nd Blue Auction on the 8th and 9th of May 2021, where these coins and over 2,000 other pieces will be up for auction. Their Blue Auctions feature all kinds of coins, from Greek to Roman, medieval, and even modern pieces. These are the more budget-friendly of their offerings, so you should definitely find something there with an affordable price to add to your collection. Many of my own coins were brought in these auctions, and I can't recommend them enough. And if you are watching this video after the auction date, don't worry. Just head over to savoca-coins.com and take a look, as there definitely should be another auction happening soon. So now I want to hear from you. Have you got any interesting coins depicting vehicles or animal riders like these ones? Let us know. Maybe you collect some different theme. Share it down in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like and consider subscribing so we can keep bringing ancient coins to YouTube. I hope you all stay safe and see you soon.